Marxism in America. Just look at the recent elections. That's the topic of today's Bold and Blunt. I'm your host, Cheryl Chumley, giving you a Christian conservative look at today's news, politics, culture, and events. So we have a Marxist who will become mayor of New York City in the coming weeks. Wow. Did you ever think that this country would fall so far to the left that this was possible? So I'm going to tell you, yes, I did. I've been writing about this for a very long time, that the fact Americans are turning away from God, turning away from the church, turning away from Christianity and Judeo-Christian principles, the very same ones that made America so great in the first place. The fact that Americans are turning away from all these great things about our country that are foundational to keeping us great only opens the doors for ding, ding, ding Marxists. And now here we are. Of course, Mamdani doesn't call himself a Marxist, right? He calls himself, I don't know, what is the latest leftist tag? Progressive, soft socialist, lovey-dovey, caring socialist to the people, caretaker of the citizens, whatever he calls himself. He's a Marxist, right? And he's a Marxist of the worst kind, a radical Muslim, radical Islamic Marxist. So New York City, I don't know, your days are numbered, but the warning for the rest of America is, as New York City goes, please don't let the rest of the country go. Before I get into more of this, I want to quickly mention, if you like Bold and Blunt, you may get Bold and Blunt. Yes, you can. It's readily available at edify.app at Real Life Network. Real Life Network, RLN. Bold and Blunt has been part of the RLN lineup for a couple years now, maybe even a little bit longer. It's so proud to be affiliated with this organization because it is Pastor Jack Hibbs's Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills Church in California, news outreach, faith-based news outreach of his church. And boy, RLN is just growing. It's like every time you blink, boom, here comes another contributor to RLN. And the reason why is that Americans all around the world, actually, citizens of the world. That sounds so Marxist. But citizens all around the world, and Americans in particular, are looking for reasons to what's going on in this world. Why does it seem like so many people have gone lunatic fringe? Well, aside from the Democrat Party, right, and what the Democrat Party represents, the bigger reason is that people are turning away from God. And so what you need is some sort of news outlet that puts into perspective what's gone awry in the world, and at the same time gives you the comfort you need to carry on with faith. And that is Real Life Network, right? It just puts all of today's goings on in the perspective of biblical truths. It filters news of the day through a biblical lens. And look, that doesn't just give you the deeper truths and understanding of what's taking place, but it also gives you a sense of peace, because you know that nothing new is under the sun and Jesus is in control. And no matter how chaotic things seem on the earthly plane in America, around the world, that God's got this, right? And for proof of that, all you got to do is look at the Bible. And after you read the Bible, all you got to do is go to Real Life Network and check out some of the great offerings they have there. I want to also mention you can get Bold and Blunt through a subscription of my newsletter at WashingtonTimes.com. Just scroll to the bottom of the page, find the newsletter section, click on it, and look for Bold and Blunt with Cheryl Chumley. That's me, that's my podcast, and that's my newsletter. Easy to remember, right? You get all three just by remembering the one. And so just enter your email address and you'll have delivered right to your email box Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? 3 times a week. My newsletter contains my commentaries, contains my audio Bold and Blunt podcasts, and coming up it contains this really great video podcast, video version of my Bold and Blunt, an interview I just conducted with a guy in the UK who is talking about, get this, radical Islamic sex grooming gangs. I know you've heard of it. I know you've heard the news coming out of the UK over the last few years, and probably like me, when you first hear it, you think, is this true? Is this really happening? And look, they're years deep in it, and yes, it's true, and yes, it's even sadder and more horrific than it sounds, so you're not going to want to miss that interview. As I said, that's coming up. I just did the interview today, and so as soon as the video geniuses at the Washington Times, and I do mean that, they are geniuses, they're great at what they do, as soon as they put the package together, it'll be going out for all you to watch. And if you're a subscriber to Bold and Blunt, the newsletter, you'll get it delivered right to your email box. But guess what? You can also get Bold and Blunt wherever podcasts are available. You just have to go online. Yeah, you just got to click online. Type in Bold and Blunt on a search engine, and you'll see all the wonderful places that carry Bold and Blunt. So, what are we talking about here today? We're talking about the state of the nation, right? The state of the nation post-election. The Democrats have some wins. The Marxists have even more wins. And guess who loses? Americans who love this country, right? Because, look, you can't have a card-carrying socialist in office and call it a win for America. I don't care if it's a local office, a state office, or a federal office. If there's a socialist, an open socialist holding that seat, then it's a loss for all of America, because first off, what it does is it normalizes the idea of socialists actually serving in America's political offices. And second off, what it does is it opens the door it opens the door wider for even more socialists to serve, right? You know, as socialism becomes an accepted term, people don't even blink at it anymore. What party are you with? Republican, Democrat? Oh, no, I'm a socialist. Oh, cool. Isn't that cool? You know, 20 years ago, that used to be gasp-worthy. That used to be a big secret. And Democrats, even the ones who were socialists in the Democrat Party, knew better than to come out and call themselves socialists. They called themselves progressives, right? The Progressive Caucus. Well, fast forward just a few years, and here you have open socialists, not just serving in political offices, but being applauded for their service. How can a socialist serve in a political office in America while upholding the Constitution? How can a socialist swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, right? Which is part and parcel of accepting a federal office position. How can they how can they swear that and still serve as a socialist? How can they be a socialist and somebody who protects the Constitution? Those two things are in direct conflict with each other. And, you know, don't tell me, oh, socialist is, it's not really socialism that Democrats are. And besides, socialism works. Just look at your Norwegian countries, right? Which are, by the way, capitalist. They're not socialists. And socialism, the idea of socialism working, the only way that you could define socialism as working is if the end game of socialism is to destroy. And in that regard, socialism works. Socialism is a smashing success, right? If destruction is the end game of socialism and utter poverty, then socialism, you know, 2 thumbs up, 5 gold stars, however you want to rate it. It's great. Go socialism. But the idea of a socialist serving in America's political system, just, I don't even know what to say. It shouldn't be. They don't belong. And socialists, they can disguise themselves however they want. They can mask themselves under the tag of progressive or democratic socialists or progressive socialists. But what they all are card-carrying communists because, communists, Marxists, socialists, progressives, today Democrats, today's Democrat Party, they're all about one thing, and it's completely counter to what America is. They're all about collectivism. And in America, what we have is individualism. And you can't have both operating happily, right? You can't have collectivists working alongside individualists and it's smooth sailing with their rowing all being done in the same direction. No, they're at crossroads. They're completely opposite. So here in America, we have Zohran Mamdani, elected mayor. We have Abigail Spanberger, oh, God forbid, in my state of Virginia, and not just Abigail Spanberger, the so-called moderate, who is not a moderate, right? She campaigns as a moderate, but she's pretty much a Marxist herself because, of course, she's a Democrat, and today's Democrat Party, they're all about the Marxism. But not just her. You've got the lieutenant governor, you've got the attorney general, you've got the House of Delegates, you've got the Senate, you've got all Richmond now. Oh, my goodness. All Richmond. Run by Democrats, and here I am. I just did major renovations in my house, and I can't sell it and flee to a Republican state. Oh me, oh my. Well, all right, enough of the pity party. So, not all the news is bad, though, right? And I have with me a guest, a repeat guest, and I have to say a good friend. He and his wife are great friends of mine. I love them to death. And his name is Craig Shirley. He is one of the nation's foremost historians, right? He doesn't get the respect he deserves in the world of historians, right? Because he happens to be more conservative than the highbrow leftist liberals who like to pat themselves on the back in the historian world and talk about what a great job they do of misrepresenting America. Well, unlike them, Craig Shirley tells it like it is. And not just in his books, but also on this podcast. And that's why I'm so happy to say he's back now today to talk about the state of the nation post-election and other cool stuff. Craig Shirley, I want to thank you so much for being back on Bold and Blunt. Always great to have you here.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you very much. It's good to be with you.
You know, as we were just talking, I was looking at my bookcase, and it's almost like you snuck in the middle of the night and replaced all my books with yours. I'm looking at all your titles. The Search for Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, Reagan Revolution, Mary Ball Washington. I mean, it's amazing all the books you put out.
Thank you. But as I tell myself, often is that there's just one constant difference between book and kook. Right?
Hey, you're speaking to a fellow author here, so I'm not going to.
I know I am. Yes. Yeah. It's just something. One, it gives us a sense of completion. There's so few things in our life that we complete. Child rearing, you never complete that. You buy a house, and it's a lifetime process. We're fixing it up and working. It's so few things in our life you really complete that you can walk away, or you can hold in your hand and say, "Look, I wrote this, and I'm proud of it." And writing books and the process writing. And I don't want to quote Gloria Steinem, but she once said, writing is the only thing that I do. When I do it, I don't feel like I need to be doing something else. And I understand that sentiment, and I know you understand that sentiment. Is that there's so few things in our lives that satisfy us to the degree child rearing satisfies us, our religion satisfies us, our hobby satisfies us, but there's nothing that satisfies me or you probably as much as the art of writing.
That's true, and I never thought of it the way you put it, that's one of the things in life that is actually finished, right? Like when you're done writing, yes. It's published, it is finished moment, unlike anything else in life, like doing dishes and laundry, for crying out loud. So
one other thing too is that it's also it's also our immortality. Is that our words are going to live on long after we take a dirt nap, right?
For better or for worse.
Yeah, but I look back at my writing, and I what I wrote 20 years ago is not embarrassing, but I think I've improved as a writer. I certainly I don't believe in writer's block. I think that's a fraud and a fake. I think that's just invented by drunks who used to go to Elaine's and talk about how they couldn't finish their great American novel. There's no such, you're right. You don't, you've gone through it. I've gone through it. You know what? You'll draft something, and then you'll hate it and go back and change it and fix it. There's no such thing as writer's block.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse.
You know what? I totally agree with you, because I have never in my entire life had writer's block, but I've had the opposite. I've had way too many ideas and desires to write something that I have time for.
Bingo, 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 ditto, ditto, ditto. I have 3-4 books that I'm working on in varying degrees right now.
Yes.
And then a half dozen op-eds that I've got in the queue right now, ready to publish. And I'm the same way. Is that every time something strikes my fancy, I want to write about it.
Yeah, it's true. And there's just not enough time in life, is there, Craig? And I know this has absolutely nothing to do with the 250th anniversary of America. I have no idea how to smoothly segue into that. But let's start by talking about, because you did say words are forever, right? When you put something in print, and I made the comment for better or for worse. And let's look at the worst side of things. What's going on with Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes and the words they're putting out there and how it's resonating. What's your take?
Speaking of words, is that words can soothe, words can inform, words can make you love, and people can put out words that are hateful. And what Nick Fuentes is despicable, disgusting human being. And for Tucker Carlson to not only give him a platform, but not even challenge him, and then do his own soliloquy on the origins of the Christianity, and he went off with some nonsense about it. It's appalling. I've known Tucker personally. We don't have lunch obviously anymore. We used to, years ago, we used to have lunch about once a month, and we talked on the phone a couple times a week when it was with the Weekly Standard, and even before that at other publications. And we always got along famously. We always agreed on everything. He tended toward a constitutional libertarian outlook, which I agreed with. And I socialized with him. I'd go to lunch with him. Take my children to have lunch with him. They always liked him because Tucker was so funny. But he's just, I think clinically he's lost his mind. I think Candace Owens and Kevin Harris,
Roberts, yeah.
Kevin Roberts also is. I don't think he's lost his mind. I think he's guilty of very bad judgment. But Candace Owens and Tucker have lost their minds, and Nick Fuentes is just evil. It's just to spew that. First, let me say something about this real quick. Everybody misunderstands Nazism. Nazism is short for National Socialism. It's a left-wing philosophy. It's not a conservative philosophy. It's a left-wing philosophy. Stalin, a communist, is a left-winger. Mao was a left-winger. Castro is a left-winger. Socialism, as defined in the dictionary, means the state controls the means of production and distribution. And that's exactly what Hitler did in Germany. He said, I will make you worship the state. Nothing could be more left-wing, more anti-conservative, more anti-freedom than to say, I will make you worship the state. Conservatism is about the individual, the rights and the dignity and privacy of the individual. Socialism is about obliterating individualism in the name of the corrupt state. And that's what Hitler was all about. So this idea that people go about, calling conservatives Nazis is not only rotten, but it's ill-informed.
Yeah, well, never say that Democrats, have met an uninformed phrase or mantra that they haven't embraced, right? That just
Absolutely. But, that's interesting. That's interesting because lying and deception is a part of the left-wing philosophy. I mean, is that as conservatives, as American conservatives, we believe in what? Truth, light, intelligence, education, knowledge, the expansion of the human mind. The left-wingers believe in indoctrination, censorship, and stopping the free flow of information. Because ultimately, what is liberalism about, or even Nazism? It's about control, and the way to control people is to one of the ways to control people is to not allow them access to information. Is to censor their information, censor their flow. They did it in Nazi Germany. They did it in Russia and USSR. They did it in Red China. It's a pattern that plays out every time where you have a socialist or a communist government in power.
Which sort of explains why the left is so gung-ho to embrace the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-radical Islam, Sharia type of agendas that are out there. So
yes, exactly, because they're about control. Sharia law is about. I saw this morning on social media, a Islamic scholar, used the term loosely, was saying that if you build a snowman and the snowman has a head, that's evil because according to Allah, you're creating the image of man. But if you make a snowman without a head, that's okay.
Common sense.
That's the type of thinking we're dealing with.
Which is to say, not thinking, right?
Yeah, precisely. You're exactly right. It's not thinking.
Yeah, thinking is hard. It's hard. It hurts.
Sure. Because why? Because being conservative is hard. Being conservative is about thinking. Being conservative is about intellectualism. Being a liberal is about emotionalism. It's very easy to say, well, there ought to be a law or tax the rich. Or we need to control people. We need to indoctrinate people to control people. Those are all anti-intellectual urges of the left, and so that's the ultimate battle. Is that the two parties have evolved now, so that the Republican Party is either all or mostly conservative, and the Democratic Party is either all or mostly left wing, liberal or collectivism is really the best term, because it's all, whether it's the Democratic Party, communism, Maoism, socialism, Nazism, they're all forms of collectivism. It's just a question of degrees.
And before I piggyback that into recent elections and talk about the state of America, I just want to go back to Tucker and Candace one more time, because I just want to throw this out there and get your thoughts. Do you think that Tucker and Candace and the other noted conservative influencers out there who are pushing anti-Semitic type of agendas and thoughts, do you think that they have become victim of their own successes, where they feel the need to take a stand that's in contrast with the prevailing conservative thoughts just so they can make a wave? Or do you think they really believe what they're saying?
I think they really believe what they're saying. I think the former gives them too much credit. Is that the answer to success is, for you or for me, is what? More success. The answer, for Tucker to go from success to go off in an anti-successful urge is not. But maybe it's true, but it's not very smart.
Okay.
But the only answer America has been built on success. for 250 years. We've gone from being dominated by the King of England to American independence to the war, to the war, the Civil War, to make men free, to World War One was a terrible mistake, but World War II was a great victory over Japanese totalitarianism and Nazism, won by FDR and Churchill. Is that Ronald Reagan's victory over communism? And by the way, he did win. It wasn't a question of ending the Cold War. He won the Cold War. Name the Soviet leaders ever willingly given up power. Is that he put his cowboy heel on Gorbachev's neck and applied pressure and snapped it. Gorbachev had the wisdom to get on his knees and surrender, which is why he got the Nobel Peace Prize. But Reagan didn't, for winning the Cold War, which is another travesty of the Nobel Prize. I've always said we need to create our own prizes.
We do.
Right? We need to have our own Pulitzers. We need to have our own Nobel. We need to have our own Academy Awards. Conservatives, look, is that the great example is how the Reagan movie was treated. The American people loved it. They gave it 80, 85, 90% positive rating. It made millions at the box office. But the snobby, pseudo-intellectual elitists all trashed it. Is that, that goes to part of the division in America, the cultural division in America today.
Which is only growing wider. Look, your description of Reagan's successes, we go from that, right, to Zohran Mamdani being elected mayor, right? And look at Virginia. Look at our own state of Virginia, Craig. I mean, come on. It's what's your take on the state of America's nation right now?
Is that Democrats won in blue states and blue cities. Big deal. Is that the old adage, be careful what you wish, is that this guy Mamdani is going to drive New York City into a cesspool. And so the 80% little girls who voted for him, in a couple of years, won't have enough money or safety to go out to clubs or to buy skimpy little dresses or buy spiky high heels or whatever, because he will have made a totalitarian state out of New York City.
So
I'm just waiting for a couple of years from now when we can point to the stupid people and say, I'm sorry, but na. You get what you get what you deserve.
So do you see that Mamdani will serve as a wake-up call that will bring this nation closer together, united on founding father principles?
Oh, come on. You didn't really just say that. Okay, you're joking, right?
So when you look forward at, 250, that's pretty good, because you and I have had discussions before about the fall of republics, and they don't last this long. So America's doing pretty well still.
For the time being, but I still fear for the future. I mean, on one hand, I'm confident personally about my future. I'm less confident about America's future. Is that there are so many urges right now. The cultural divide is so deep between the two parties and the two ideologies. You and I have talked about this before. We've always been divided as a country. We were united twice. After December 7th, 1941 for a couple of years, and after September 11th, 2001 for a couple of months. But we've never been united. What makes America work is our ability to compromise. We can't compromise anymore. We can't compromise on right now. Look what's going on in the Congress. They can't. The shutdown goes on because why? They can't compromise between the Republicans and Democrats. And by the way, I'm not advocating the Republicans compromise, because giving health care to illegals is just a total waste of money, and probably an illegal transfer anyway. It's totally illogical. But the cultural divide is such the two sides are, they can barely speak to each other.
And I put the fault, I'm conservative, right? So I may be biased on this, but I do put the fault mostly at the feet of Democrats because they've gone so far lunatic left.
Yes. What is the bumper sticker? If you say, okay, what do the Republicans stand for? You say, well, the Republicans stand for freedom. Okay, that's the bumper sticker. Republicans stand for freedom. What is the bumper sticker that you say for the Democratic Party? Is that what do they stand for? The Democratic Party stand for anarchy, violence, collectivism. I mean, those are not winning issues for the Democrat Party, and that's part of what animates them into their frenzy of hatred. Is because, A, deep down they know our ideas are better than their ideas, and B, we're winning and they're losing. The Democratic Party is now down to what? 20% approval? It's dying as an institution. You and I are witnessing. We're going to tell our grandchildren about this. We are witnessing in real time the death of a once major political party and what was once a good political party, especially under John Kennedy and Harry Truman, Franklin Roosevelt. But we've had political parties die in America before. Who remembers the Whigs or the Anti-Masonic Party? They both died. The Democratic Party, it'll be replaced by another left or center party, but not as crazy.
Right, and to go back to your opening thoughts, that is why the Democrats lie. That's why they feel the need to lie, because they have no winning principles.
But it is part of their ideologies. They feel lying is okay for them to lie. It's okay because rules and laws don't apply to them. So lying, cheating, and stealing is okay. Is that look how they exhibit themselves? Look how the burning down Tesla, dealerships, and burning down Seattle and Chicago, and is that they think they are entitled to maim, to take, to destroy.
That is so true. And
we're about building. You and I, our movement, our ideology, and people on the right are about building, and with that comes information, knowledge, education, the expansion of the human mind. Is that they're about anti-building. They're about the shrinking of the human mind, which is why they force indoctrination on children in their public schools. They're about anti-intellectualism. They don't want people thinking for themselves, because if people think for themselves, then they come to the inescapable conclusion that freedom is the most important thing.
Right.
They don't want people thinking that way.
And then they don't need government, and the politicians lose their power. Right,
exactly. Which is why they favor, look, we know power can neither be destroyed nor created, right? It can only be moved around. We have believed, as Ronald Reagan and other good conservatives, but Donald Trump too, today, moving power away from Washington back to the states, where the framers and the founders intended it to be, is that Democrats and liberals and collectivists believe in aggregating power for the state over the individual. We believe in the individual, they believe in the state.
Craig, it is always so great to chat with you. It's so fascinating. Just finish up by saying, telling people what your latest book is that you're working on, because I know it's going to be a bestseller.
Oh, thank you. That depends if you give it a good review.
What is it? What do you?
I'm putting the finishing touches on a book about the 2024 presidential campaign. The name of the book is Upheaval, because it was an upheaval, much like the elections of 1828 with Andrew Jackson versus John Quincy Adams, and then the election of 1980 with Jimmy Carter versus Ronald Reagan. This too was was not just a campaign, but it was about the culture, and it was about the divisions of the culture. If you look at the map, is that their culture is urban based, our culture is suburban or rural, and so there's just a wide chasm between the two political parties, the two ideologies, the two presidential candidates, and so that's what the book is about. And then I've got 3 more books that I'm toying with right now. One on Winston Churchill, one on Bojangles, and one on Billy Sunday.
Bojangles. Wow, that one sounds interesting. Nice.
Well, he's a fascinating character. You know, he was the reason I got interested in doing a book about Bill Robinson was my father told me when I was a boy that Bojangles would tap dance down Fifth Avenue every year for the New York City St. Patrick's Day parade. He would lead the parade and he would tap dance down Fifth Avenue. And of course, I watched him. You watched him in all those Shirley Temple movies, and watched him. He's such a marvelous dancer. And then, of course, the song by the Nitty Gritty.
Yeah, Mr. Bojangles.
It's always interested me. He's always interested me, and he did live that type of life too. Is that it was feast or famine with him. You know, he made money, lost money, made money, lost money. He probably got ripped off by Hollywood because he was black.
Of course.
Nobody's ever done a book about him. I look forward to delving into his life.
Oh, that sounds like such a fun read. It really does. But is Upheaval available for pre-order yet, or is it that too preliminary?
No, it's on Amazon. It's available for pre-order right now. Yes.
Well, there you go. Listeners know where to go as soon as we hang up. So,
thank you, Cheryl.
Craig Shirley, always great to speak with you. Hope to see you and your beautiful wife Zohran soon. Thank you.
Hope to see you as well.
And that's another Bold and Blunt. Remember, if you like Bold and Blunt, you may get Bold and Blunt at edify.app, at Real Life Network, at WashingtonTimes.com, and of course, wherever podcasts are available. Tune in next time. In the meanwhile, don't forget, stay blunt, stay bold.